Hiya everyone, my name is Blanca, I'm 18 years old and I'm currently in my first year studying War Studies at King's College London. For my degree, I moved to London a couple months ago, however I am originally from Germany. I always wanted to study abroad and really wanted to do something in international relations, and the King's War Studies department just really stood out to me. Now I'm also doing an internship with Art for Refugees by BizCheese, which is why you're listening to me right now. I found out about this internship through my department at King's and was really fascinated by the idea, because in class we often focus more on theories and broader topics, so I loved the opportunity to deepen my knowledge on specific communities and human needs. Also, this is a great way to communicate international issues to others, and especially people my age. And today's issue is the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC. Now, you might not know this, but the DRC actually plays a huge role in your life. Wherever you are right now, you're listening to this podcast on a laptop, a phone, a tablet maybe, and in that device, whichever one it is, are minerals and metals like copper, cobalt, lithium, and even a little gold. And while those resources in your phone probably came from right here, Congo, because the DRC is rich in resources. Historically, the Congo has always been used for these. Under King Leopold II of Belgium, the country was a personal colony known as the Congo Free State. It was anything but free. After violently seizing the country, millions of Congolese people were forced into brutal labor to extract rubber and ivory. The wealth flows out of Congo, but its people paid the price. An estimated 10 million of them died under the system of forced labor and violence. After colonial rule, things didn't improve much. Mobutu Sese Seko, the country's dictator from 1965 to 1997, ran a kleptocracy, meaning that he treated Congo's resources like his personal bank account. At this point, systematic corruption became the rule rather than the exception. Then came the Congo Wars. Millions died and countless more were displaced, even within their own country. Armies, militias, and rebel groups used the nation as a battleground. The Congo Wars became the deadliest conflict since World War II. And remember, this isn't just history, it's the living reality for millions of people. Military violence continues to be a significant issue in the DRC. Armed groups, both domestic and foreign, operate with impunity, engaging in brutal attacks against civilians. These groups control the country, forcing local communities to either submit to them or flee their homes entirely. The Congolese army itself has also been implicated in acts of violence, with accusations of human rights abuses further compounding the instability. For many Congolese people, life is shaped by fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being caught between warring factions, and fear of losing everything overnight. One of the most devastating aspects of the conflict in the DRC is the widespread use of sexual violence as a weapon. Women and girls are particularly vulnerable, with armed groups systematically using rape and sexual slavery to terrorize communities and exert control. The medical and psychological consequences of this violence are profound, leaving survivors with lasting trauma. Despite efforts by international organizations and local activists to address this crisis, impunity remains a major problem. Many perpetrators go unpunished, and survivors often struggle to access justice and support. Still, even after all that exploitation, the DRC is continued to be viewed as a treasure trove for minerals. Cobalt in particular is crucial for things like batteries, mobile phones, and electric vehicles, and the DRC produces more than 80% of the world's supply. Yet while the world benefits from these resources, the Congolese people see very little of the wealth, being one of the poorest nations worldwide. Instead, the benefits go elsewhere. China, for example, has made strategic deals with the DRC, trading investments in areas like infrastructure for access to valuable minerals. Chinese companies extract them through mines, employing Congolese workers who are being underpaid and forced to work under horrible conditions. However, they fail to live up to their end of the bargain, with only very little money actually being reinvested in the Congolese communities. But it is not just China. Companies and governments from all around the world are taking an interest in the DRC and its resources, which is why the country now looks like Swiss cheese with how many mines are being dug in it. And the conditions in these mines are horrifying. Child labour is common, workers operate in unsafe conditions with little to no protection, and environmental damage is widespread. Because of this, in 2019, a major legal case was brought against the world's largest tech companies. Apple, Google, Dell, Microsoft, and Tesla were among those sued by Congolese families who claimed their children had been killed or maimed while mining cobalt. This lawsuit accuses them of knowingly benefiting from child labour and dangerous working conditions. The Congolese understandably feel that their future is being ripped away from them and sold out to the highest bidder. Because although the DRC is rich in resources, so rich in fact that its mineral wealth holds the potential to theoretically shift international power dynamics, it still remains in the top 5 poorest countries in the world. This makes it incredibly hard to regain control over their country and rebuild themselves after their violent history with colonialism and conflicts. Many even see the current economic developments here as a modern form of colonialism, with the DRC still being exploited by foreign nations. Education in particular is a major casualty of this ongoing crisis. With children often forced to work in the mines instead of attending school, the future of the next generation is uncertain. The promise of a better life through education is largely out of reach for many Congolese children, who instead face a future in which they are subjected to dangerous labour and exploitation. The reality highlights the deep inequalities that persist in the DRC, where access to basic human needs, such as safety, security, and the opportunity to thrive, is often limited by factors beyond the control of the people themselves. But not all hope is lost. There are people and organisations working to change the situation, investing in the DRC's long-term future. There is potential for real change, but it requires systematic solutions. We need more transparency and accountability in the mining industry. Companies must take responsibility for their supply chain and ensure ethical sourcing. With that, and financial support from others, the DRC holds the potential to eventually thrive independently and be a safe home for its people again. Okay, well, thank you for listening today and giving me and the DRC a couple minutes of your time. If you'd like to hear more from me about this, feel free to read the article below. And if you want to find out more about other post-conflict communities, have a look at the podcasts and articles by the many other talented people at Arts for Refugees. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your day.